Friends, welcome to the subject software engineering. Today we are studying requirements validation. Requirements validation is the third sub process in the requirement engineering process. Students, earlier we have studied feasibility study, then requirements elicitation analysis, and the third sub process, that is requirements validation, that we will study today. Okay. First, requirements validation is concerned with demonstrating that requirements define the system that the customer really wants. Students, you very well know customer is expecting a good system with his expectations about the requirements from the developing team. So it is the job of the developing team to carry out validation process wherein he checks whether the requirements that have been earlier mentioned are available or no. Point number 2. Requirements error costs are high, so validation is important. Students, if there is anything less in the requirements or if there is error, it is certainly going to cost both the parties, that is the end user and developer, heavily. For example, fixing a requirement error after the delivery may cost up to 100 times the cost of fixing an implementation error. So, if there is an error and if it is detected earlier, then it is always safe. But if it is ignored and if that error is detected late, then it might cost the organization heavily. So, requirements validation is very, very important. Requirements checking. First is validity. So, there are certain methods of checking the requirements. First, validity. In these aspects, we check, does the system provide the functions which best support the customer needs? So, here we check whether the software is providing all the functions which will give good support to the customer's expectations. Next, consistency. Here we check whether there are any requirements conflicts. There are different end users, there are different expectations, everybody's requirement is different. There are like to be conflicts, but these conflicts must be avoided. Completeness. Here, are all functions required by the customer included? So, in the completeness aspect, students, we check whether all the functions which the customer has mentioned are included as a part of software or no. That is, we see whether the software is complete or no, whether it is giving all the functions or no. Next point, realism. Can the requirement be implemented given available budget and technology? Yes. So here realism means, is it implementable with the available hardware and software? Is it possible in the requirement budget? Okay, or should we increase the budget? All this aspect is checked here. Next, verifiability. Can the requirements be checked? So it is very much required that the requirements must be able to be checked. Okay. So what are the validation techniques? So requirement validation techniques are: one is requirement review, that is systematic manual analysis of the requirement. Students, in the requirement review technique, there are manual meetings, where developing team and end user sit together and check whether all the requirements have been met or no. They go systematically. Next technique is prototyping, that is using an executable model of the system to check the requirements. Yes, students, in the method of prototyping, we develop a prototype, that is an executable model of the system, and check whether the requirements have been met or no. Next technique is test case generation. Developing tests for requirements to check the testability. Students, you very well know every software is tested with the test cases. If you can develop a test case, then only software is functional or software is going to be useful. In case if you are not able to generate a test case, that means that software is not useful. So test case generation is one of the important validation technique. Next, automated consistency analysis. That is checking the consistency of structured requirements description. Here we check the consistency of the structured requirement, okay, by software. The next topic is requirement review. Students, you know it is very important for the validation process to carry out reviews. Reviews are part of the requirement validation. Point number 1. Regular review should be held while the requirements definition is being formulated. Yes, students, for any systematic work or for that matter, for the development of the software, regular reviews are very, very important. This will keep us on the track. Okay, so there will be no waste of time, energy, and money. Both clients and contractor staff should be involved in the reviews. Yes, in the review meetings, both the sides, that is the user side and the developer side, both should sit together and check the progress of the software. Review, next third point. Reviews may be formal, okay, or informal. So students, you know there are two types of reviews. That is formal, where we take up the completed document and go point by point. In informal review, we sit together and discuss the development of the system. Good communications between the developers, customers and users can resolve problems at an early stage. Students, you very well know for any task to go to the success, there should be good communication among the participating members. So in case of software development, okay, there should be good communication between developers, customers and user, so that each one understands everybody's need, okay, and the project works according to the schedule. Now we'll take up next is review checks. There are certain review checks which must be adopted. Okay, so verifiability, comprehensibility, traceability and adaptability are the review checks that must be adopted. We will take up one by one. Verifiability. Is the requirement realistically testable? So here we must check whether the requirement can be verified. Okay, can we test it? Okay, so the requirements should be clearly written. Next, comprehensibility. Is the requirement properly understood? So here, has every aspect been taken note of or no? Is it all inclusive? That is what we mean by comprehensibility. Is everybody's need met or no? Next, traceability. Is the origin of the requirement clearly stated? So traceability is important part of any software. One should be able to trace the software and also the origin of the requirement. Adaptability. Can the requirement be changed without large impact on the other requirements? Adaptability is important part of the software. If you make a small change, it should not affect the other modules. So all these are important review checks. Okay, that is verifiability, comprehensibility, traceability and adaptability. So students, today we have taken the topic that is requirement validation. So this is the third sub process in the requirement engineering process. Of the four, sub processes. The first process is feasibility study. Second sub process is requirements elicitation and analysis, and the third sub process is requirement validation. So today we'll stop here. Please go through the notes. If there is anything that you are not able to understand, you may please call me. Thank you.